The three gentlemen alongside me, as it was at half-time and before the game, Chris Coleman, Carlton Palmer, Gary Stevens. I want to look at the goals first, but at the same time, I want to look at the penalties which weren't given, which were deemed not penalties by the officials, by VAR as well. So we're going to go through them all one by one. Now, the first one we discussed at half-time. However, the other two we haven't had a chance to look at. So you all three agreed Haaland, this incident here, was fouled by Chilwell, yes?
Anywhere else on the pitch, you're going to give a look. So Chilwell's not even looking at the ball. He gets attacked. Whether or not he does it deliberately, he still tangles with Haaland and bundles him over. It's a penalty.
What about this one, Carlton Palmer?
No, I didn't think it was a penalty. I think Carl's trying to be a little bit clever. I think he should get booked for simulating. He puts his left leg in front of Raheem Sterling and he goes to ground. That's trying to con the referee. It's not a penalty for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with Carlton on that one. It's not a penalty.
And this one, right at the death, moments before the final whistle gets blown, Colwill has the ball, it's near his hand, and he seems to edge his hand towards the ball to pull it away towards his own foot to clear.
Do you know, for me, I thought that was a penalty, because if you see where his hand is, his hand is out, and then he nudges the ball into the direction for him to clear it. So for me, that would be a penalty. But I don't know anymore what the rules are, to be honest.
It's difficult. I think that's a penalty as well.
Yeah, I would say so also. You know, definitely that final angle we see it from, it looks clearly as if Colwill moves his hand to the ball and he plays the ball. And then it drops to him to clear. So
for all three of you, you feel that they should have had 2 penalties in this game?
Yeah.
Of the 3 incidents we just looked at. I mean, here it seems to be clear and obvious, no?
Well, to us it's clear and obvious, but I don't know, sometimes when the people of VAR play it back, it almost seems to me like they're watching a different clip, because it's obvious. I see things that are obvious, and there's you know, it's got to be a penalty, or it's clearly not a penalty. But they seem to get a lot wrong, and I don't know why that is.
It's just strange that multiple times this season, VAR, or the referees, have had to issue apologies to clubs. Think of Wolves. Of the apologies received, I think Liverpool, prior to this weekend, had received 20% of the apologies for VAR mistakes made so far this season. What's the point of VAR if
well, there is no point of it. Simple as. I mean, the problem that we've got, it's here and it's here to stay. So we have to get on with it. But I don't think it's... What it's done is created more talking points. Like I've said, there is always going to be decisions that go for you. There's always going to be decisions that don't go for you. But over the course of the season, you will get relegated because you're not good enough. You'll win the league title because you're good enough. Tell me where a wrong decision has cost, even in a major cup final. I can't remember too many, and I'm 58 now. I can't remember. Can you go? You probably know better than me. I'm not because I'm older than you. But yeah, I know you studied the game. But you know, you've not really seen in a major cup final where a decision has cost a team that competition. Right? So I'm saying there is, but now we've got so much controversy going on because we're clear about this. We haven't seen replays after replays after replays. Chris and Gary, straight away, we've said penalty, penalty, non-penalty. You know, we've seen it. That's it.
I will have to put this in. Slow motion does make things look worse. That last incident with the handball, do you think that played a role in how we're viewing it? Because it's not real time.
I think it really does make a difference, you know, and you talk about slow motion and then you see a still photograph and it's totally a different context. So, you know, maybe I would like the officials to make their judgments, and when I say officials I mean VAR, to make the judgments only on full speed video that they look at. But what has been quite unusual tonight is that the 3 of us, as 3 ex-players, we've all agreed on 3 decisions, and we've all, with our agreement, disagreed with VAR.
Maybe it's because it's 3 defensive-minded players. Maybe. Maybe, perhaps. But there can be catastrophic ramifications when you don't give decisions or you do give decisions. And I think one of the most famous examples in this era would be the goal line technology. Do you remember when Villa played Sheffield United and a goal wasn't given, even though it clearly crossed the line, and apparently it was a 1 in a million chance that no cameras could catch it properly? This was a few years ago. Yeah. Sheffield United got relegated.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
Also, okay, so if you look at this, thousands of games of football, of course, but you really can count on one hand a moment where the referees got it so wrong that it's cost on a huge... Remember Thierry Henry's handball playing for
against
France?
Ireland.
Against Ireland, and that determined whether France went to the tournament or Ireland. But they're few and far between. And I sound like a hit because at the start, 20 years ago, I was saying we should have VAR because there's so many decisions that the referee's missing. VAR should be here to clear it up. But what it's done is it's arrived and it's made things worse. But like Carlton says, it's here to stay. But surely the people who are looking at VAR making those decisions, I don't understand how they can get so many wrong. I don't understand it. And if somebody could explain that to me, maybe I'd be a little bit more supportive of it. But at the moment, too many decisions they get wrong.
Okay. As a manager, do you ever storm into the referee's room after a game?
Yeah.
Not in an angry way, but in a way to have...
I've done it in an angry way because it's the heat of the moment. And, you know, we're all the same, passionate about winning. And if you think you've been... not misled, but mistreated because of whatever, and you think the referee's got it so wrong, then yeah, only once or twice I've done that. So that's just human emotion. It's just like after a game when you get interviewed quickly, your emotions are running high and you don't always say the right thing. But I have spoken to a referee or two, but I've probably done it 2 or 3 times maximum.
Should also add, the cameras are deceiving because you're actually 6'2", so it must be very imposing and very scary to have a big Welshman storming into your room, angry, steaming after a bad result.
Well, the thing is, in them days, and this is a long time ago, it was actually when I was managing in the Premier League.
This would have been Fulham, I presume, if it was that long ago.
Yeah. And I wasn't super aggressive. I was probably a little bit boisterous, but you know, I thought I was right at the time. You think you're right at the time. You think, no, this is wrong.
You've been hard done by.
We're a little club. It was against Arsenal actually, and we were given a goal, and then it was taken away. There was no VAR in them days. The referee gave it. The linesman disallowed it, and I'd never heard of that at that time. And he shouldn't have disallowed it. It was a clean goal. Anyway, the referee, the goal was taken away from us. So at the end of the game, of course, the adrenaline, and probably you shouldn't do that. You know, I'm not saying you should, but it still does not take away the fact that something that's been put in place in our game at the very highest level to help it is actually causing more harm than good.
Well, Pep Guardiola will argue today that it's influenced the outcome of this game, because what he would say is the first goal was always going to be critical in this game. Had the penalty been given against Ireland, even though Man City weren't at their best today, had the penalty been given against Ireland in the first half, as it should have been, City would have been 1-0 up, Chelsea would have had to play a different game. We'd have seen a different outcome.
Yeah, of course he'll argue that point, and I think he has a strong argument there as well. But it is still subjective. So, like, you know, the referee makes a decision based on how he sees it at the time. VAR, to a large extent, are doing exactly the same thing, but with more evidence and more time to do it. And it still is subjective, because although I've said, you know, the 3 of us agreed on 3 decisions, there will be somebody watching this programme tonight, an ex-player or whatever, who will disagree with us.
That's true. But that's why I tend to focus on the ones where Howard Webb has come out and apologised to clubs, or clubs have been issued an apology by the VAR officials, in which case it's not so much interpretation if they are admitting fault.
That's what I mean. The ones they've come out to apologise, and they should apologise because they've got it so wrong, drastically wrong.
Liverpool, Spurs, Luis Diaz, for example.
But the rest of us are looking at it and saying, how can you come up with that? How can that be the answer? It's clearly not what happened. And how can you come up with that wrong decision? It's so wrong. So I don't understand how they arrive at that decision, because if it was 50-50, okay, because we all get it wrong here and there. But when it's clear that it's obvious what should happen and it doesn't, that's where I get a little bit annoyed about VAR. Because I kick myself because I was an advocate for it. 15, 20 years ago, I said we should have it. And now I completely take back what I said. I don't think it's been a good thing at all.
Well, I don't think many people, the only people who are advocating for it, the people who spent all the money on it. I think the players and the managers now, and I would think a lot of the supporters. I mean, as a player now, you score now, and you can't celebrate
because you don't know.
Because you don't know.
Because you don't know.
It's just for me. It's just, and what it has done for me as well. It's given referees and linesmen and the officials a cop-out because they're relying on VAR to make their decisions. Referees, you know, VAR should be there to assist the referee, not the other way around. The referees are waiting, you know, oh, I'm not going to make this decision, I'm going to allow VAR to do it, and it gives him a cop-out then.
I think it's actually made the job of the officials more difficult. And it has almost promoted their involvement within the game, which applies more kind of pressure to them to a large extent as well. I'm struggling to come up with where VAR has, at this stage of its being, of its lifespan, you know, where it is that VAR has become an advantage to football.
Yeah.
I can't find anywhere particularly.